What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. You've already seen me today talking about my reaction to Aitor Karanka leaving Birmingham City. Make sure you see that video if you haven't seen it. But this video is going to be my reaction, talking about the 11 games that went on in the Championship. Obviously, we did not have Rotherham and Coventry following a COVID-19 outbreak in the Rotherham squad. If you guys got a correct score, your comment will be on the screen right now. A good handful of you did. Well done, all of you. Also, welcome Mini Surge 2.0 and Ron Kamonka for being the new entries in the Lexus Hall of Fame. This is what the Lexus Hall of Fame looks like now. Joshua Frood, shock horror, I did not get a correct score. I mean, I could be wrong, but if my eyes are not deceiving me, I don't think he got a correct score. So it meant with my two correct scores, which was one from the Premier League, which was the Palace and West Brom game, and the other one from the Championship, which was the Luton and Swansea game, I've now closed the gap to 3 points. So we're having a very open competition near the top of the table now, so it's getting increasingly exciting. We've got some midweek fixtures that we're going to predict at the end of the video as well. But if you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. We want to try and get to 500 subscribers as soon as we can. But without any further ado, let's go and talk about these weekend's games. So to start off the game at Ewood Park, it was a narrow 1-0 victory to Brentford. And I did say in my prediction, I thought Brentford were going to be in a more energized side, you know, the more fresh side, having an 8-day break following that they didn't play last weekend against Rotherham. And to have a bit of an 8-day break, especially in a season like this, I mean, Brentford should have relished that. And they did take the lead 10 minutes in. It was from a penalty. It was a clash between Nottingham and Tariq Foster. I do think it was a penalty. It wasn't too much in it, but it was a clash of knees. And in today's game, I think it would have been a penalty. Tony stepped up, and what a cool penalty it was. It literally was inch perfect to score his 26th goal of the season, only 4 goals away from Glenn Murray's total. And that was the only goal of the game. And to be fair, in that entire game, Brentford really did not look too dangerous and looked like they were going to score another goal. -1 moment where Marcus Forss headed a shot straight at Kaminsky from about 3 yards out. He probably should have scored that. That was a bit poor on his part. In that first half, Janel had an opportunity which flashed wide of the post. But I say Blackburn were very bereaved not to get anything out from this. Tony Mowbray introduced Joe Rothrow and Harvey Elliott, and they were a huge difference in that game. And I saw the intensity just really get into Blackburn's control. And they probably should have scored. Dak had a fantastic chance where it looked like he had the slightest of touches of it, and he managed to keep it out from going into the net as well. Blackburn probably would also feel they should have had a penalty with Niamh and Sorensen supposedly dragging Niamh down. Probably a penalty if the first one was a penalty, to be honest with you. So a bit of inconsistency there with the penalty decision probably. And unfortunately, Dak has got an injury. He had to go off from a stretch and hopefully is not serious. Blackburn right now 14th place. They shouldn't feel bereaved by that performance though, because I think they should be so proud of themselves. You know, as with Brentford, it was not a pretty win to say the least, but it's a win, and that's literally all they need right now. They'll definitely take the result over the performance right now. But unfortunately, following that, Watford and Swansea have both win as well. They're going to have to stay remarkably consistent if they want to try and get automatically promoted. And speaking of Swansea winning, that's what they did in the very next day against Luton Town 1-0. And once again, the home side would feel that they probably should have got something out of it, because Luton peppered Swansea with chances. In the first couple of seconds, Woodman made a save from Pearson just from inches from crossing the line, and Luton were really giving Swansea a scare. But immediately Swansea go from the other side of the pitch and score, and that's what's been so good about Swansea. They can respond to scary situations and they can hit teams harder and really punish them. It was Jan Dando who did really well in that left-hand side, charging forward with a load of pace. His pullback found Conor Hourihane, who he smashed home. That made it 1-0 to Swansea, and that was the only goal that they scored in the game. Swansea, for me, didn't even look like scoring. I think they even created less than what Brentford did when they got their 1-goal advantage against the opposition, because Luton were completely relentless. Jordan Clark had 2 great opportunities, one from each half. Mpanzu probably should have scored when Woodman had a poor clearance. He tried to lob him, and then Woodman managed to run back and save it. Elijah Adebayo, when he came on the pitch, he was fantastic, and he created some fantastic opportunities. One great cross for Cornick, which he just misses out on, and Jordan Clark had an opportunity trying to win a Harry Cornick cross, but his head is just wide of the post. Luton had so many chances, and they were really unfortunate not to get anything. 15th place right now, 12 points above the relegation zone. I don't think they're going down, but I think Luton definitely for their performances would feel that they deserve something more from that. As with Swansea, they're now third place following that Watford managed to win, but they're on 69 points right now. Just like with Brentford, a very ugly win, but as I said, it's all about results over performances, especially in the tail end of a season. And then what a mad game we had at the Vitality Stadium. Just bonkers is the only description I've got for this game. Bournemouth 2, Barnsley 3. It was a thrilling game to watch, to say the least. I was worried that this game was going to be a little bit cagey and a bit nervous, but actually it was not the case at all. It was very open. Barnsley took the lead against the run of play down there, because I think Bournemouth in that first half were brilliant, and they're showing similar characteristics under the Jonathan Woodgate era at the moment. Fantastic first half, but second half really poor. But in that first half, Barnsley were the ones who took the lead first, and it was Michael Healy with the goal. He managed to score from a Callum Britton corner that made it 1-0 to Barnsley. But Bournemouth come the other end, and they are relentless. And they probably should have scored more than 2 goals than what they did. I don't think Jonathan Woodgate could have really asked for too much more, following that they couldn't really put the game to bed when they had a fantastic first half last time against Preston. It was Danjuma with the first goal. Stanislas on the right-hand side charging forward. He squares it to Danjuma to make it 1-1. And then for 2-1, it was literally seconds before half-time. But Barnsley really came as a different team in that second half. Ishmael made a triple substitution, and it really changed the momentum for Barnsley. They got their equaliser, and it was a very well worked goal as well. And it was Dominic Freesia that actually managed to get the goal that made it 2-2. And then for their third goal, it was from an Alex Murrah free kick, where Alex Murrah went by himself for his first free kick, which was well saved by Begovic. But second time, he managed to loop a dangerous ball, and it was Carlton Morris managing to get the header to make it 3-2 to Barnsley. Bournemouth would be disappointed, because this was definitely a big opportunity missed to try and strengthen their chances of getting to the top 6. Now they find themselves 5 points off the top 6. As of Barnsley, this is an incredible story right now. They are on 61 points. Unbelievable work that Ishmael has done for that Barnsley side. They really cannot be beaten. It's 8 wins out of 9 games now. Unbelievable scenes we've seen at Barnsley. And this was the nail in the coffin for Aitor Karanka Birmingham, as Birmingham lose at home again. Their 12th home defeat of the season, with a 3-0 defeat to Bristol City. They've actually got the joint most home defeats in the whole EFL, along with Southend, with 12 home defeats in 18. They did start pretty well, actually. Scott Hogan and Jeremy Bella combined very well. Both occasions allowed them to hit the post, but when Scott Hogan hit the post for the second time, within seconds later, Raheem Harper was very poorly dispossessed in the midfield by Casey Palmer, who basically was one-on-one. He slotted it past Etheridge, and that made it 1-0. And as soon as Bristol City scored, Birmingham just never really crafted anything else, and it was all Bristol City. They got their second from another mistake. It was Pedersen that played a very short pass to Etheridge, and then Etheridge, who tried to clear it, was intercepted by Semenyo to make it 2-0. 3-0 was a fantastic teamwork goal. It was Callum O'Dowda, who I'm glad has actually had his first appearance since his injury back in Boxing Day. That made it 3-0 to Bristol City. And honestly, Bristol City could have been scored more. Casey Palmer had 2 really big chances that if he'd taken, he could have got a hat-trick. But it was a great performance by Bristol City once again. A 100% away form under Nigel Pearson right now. There's just very little optimism around Birmingham at the moment. There was a protest before the game as well, being targeted at Dong and towards the owners Trinian's Trophy Asia as well. So definitely a lot of toxicity going around in Birmingham right now. And whoever would take the Birmingham role, they've got a big task at hand. Following the amount of games in hand Rotherham have, it's going to be very daunting to keep Birmingham up at this stage. And then an unbelievable snatch and grab win for Watford as they claim a 2-1 away victory to Cardiff. This last goal really tore my heartstrings, because I predicted a 1-1 for this game, and the final kick of the game, Messina scores it. I actually remembered literally having my eyes glued to the screen telling Messina not to score, and he did. But Cardiff took the lead, and it was from a Sirialta own goal. It was brilliant work by Kieran Brown, actually, who was actually given his full debut in left wing back, finding Josh Murphy in the left-hand side. And then he squared the ball, looking like that Kiefer Moore was going to score again. But it was Sirialta who managed to get the final touch, getting the ball into his own net, which made it 1-0 to Cardiff. But minutes later, COLLAB made it 1-1. And I'm really glad for COLLAB. He's been someone I've seen at Chelsea and he's not really been able to show his full potential. He does very, very well there, managing to get past this man and shooting an unbelievable strike in the bottom left corner, making it 1-1. And from that moment onwards, it was all Watford. They had all the chances. Sarr had a fantastic chance. João Pedro tried to do a bicycle kick. It was all Watford. And it was a very, very poor moment in the game. It was in the 94th minute where Perry pushed Sarr just outside the box. Messina stepped up and actually scored Watford's first direct free kick in over 5 years to make it 2-1 to Watford. Pretty poor on Dylan Phillips' part, to be honest with you. I think he completely misjudged the shot. Watford would take their win and they celebrated like crazy. Following the fact that Swansea and Brentford both won their games and the fact that Watford kept the pressure in the final minute as well, it makes those celebrations justified. Cardiff, it's a poor defeat for them. It's their first defeat under Mick McCarthy. It's a shame for him that he couldn't manage to keep his 10-match unbeaten streak. As with Watford right now, they're also on 69 points with Swansea right now. Once again, like Swansea and Brentford, very ugly win. It's all about the result over the performance at this stage of the season. Then are we seeing Derby having a really, really costly collapse right now? It's 5 games without a win with Wayne Rooney right now. 4 games with Derby not scoring a goal as they lose 1-0 to Millwall. I mean, look at those stats. 70 to 30% possession, 13 shots to Millwall's 2. I mean, you couldn't have predicted which team were going to win in this game. As an attacking outlet, Millwall offered very little. But when they had their chance, they took it. It was from a corner and it was whipped in by Jed Wallace. Poor defending by Mengi. He manages to give Sean Hutchinson a free header, making it 1-0 to Millwall, and that was the only goal. As with Derby, they did have some chances. Colin Kazim-Richards had a free kick, which unfortunately hit the wall for him. Josh Riak had a good opportunity as well. The closest one to scoring was Louis Sibley from a corner, and unfortunately his shot came off the crossbar. So that was the closest that Derby got to scoring, but apart from that, we didn't have too many opportunities. As a game lacking in quality, to be honest with you. But a very ugly win for Millwall, a typical Millwall win for me. They're now 10th place in the table. And this is a fantastic turnaround. As a Derby, 19th place in the table right now. They've got to play Brentford in midweek. And if teams below them pick up points, Derby would consider to be relegation threatened if they cannot pick up their performances. And then finally, we've got a home win to talk about, and that came in the hands of Middlesbrough with a 3-0 victory over Stoke City. It is 4 defeats in 5 for Stoke right now. But if you looked at their performances, Stoke did not deserve to lose that heavily, because in the first minutes, it was all Stoke. Jacob Brown, in the first 20 seconds, charged down the right-hand side and had a shot cannon off the post, literally summing up his whole season at Stoke. And Stoke continued to have chances. Tommy Smith had an opportunity which just went wide of the post. Middlesbrough, with their first opportunity, just like typical Middlesbrough, they score it. It was from a corner that was whipped in by Mark Bowler. Chuba Akpom managed to flick it onto Grant Hall, who manages to get unmarked, scoring it past Angus Gunn. That made it 1-0 to Middlesbrough. And after that goal, Middlesbrough was slightly better. It was a bit more even from then. Cabano was a handful for Stoke to deal with, but Middlesbrough got a very crucial goal before half-time, and you've got to give Balassi a lot of credit. He does a fantastic ball to find Paddy McNair in the left-hand side, and then he does fantastically well to slot it past Gunn. That made it 2-0. And it was interesting for Neil Warnock to see a formation change, seeing Paddy McNair a bit more advanced rather than in the back line, and it really, really did pay off for the fact that he did manage to get this goal. After being 2-0 up, Middlesbrough had one tactic in that second half: park the bus, allow Stoke to try and score, and they really did nearly score. Stephen Fletcher had a good opportunity which was well saved by Bettinelli, and Bettinelli made some fantastic saves in that second half. And what this ensued is that Middlesbrough were going to play on the counter-attack, and they scored 1 goal from the counter-attack. It was from a Stoke corner, I believe, which was cleared. Sam Morsy charged forward, teeing up a fantastic pass to Nathaniel Mendes-Lang. He manages to loop a great ball over Gunn, making it 3-0 to Middlesbrough. This is quite a damaging defeat for Stoke for me, because right now they're within 5 points behind Middlesbrough, where they themselves were challenging top 6 with Middlesbrough. But right now, I actually think mid-table has now got to be the position and the target that Stoke have got to be facing now. As with Middlesbrough, it's reignited a little bit of the spark that they could try and get into the top 6 following that Cardiff did lose against Watford. However, they've got to try and breach an 8-point gap from Barnsley. It's not impossible, but they definitely will be in that same conversation of the challengers of the top 6 along with Cardiff and Bournemouth now. At the City Ground, we had a 1-1 draw, and I think Reading may have deserved the win because apparently they had the most expected goals out of any Championship team in this weekend. Lucas João had a great opportunity in the first half. It was a very clever corner actually, but he scuffed his shot, and he can only look and just completely shudder where his shot came off the post, desperately trying to score. Joe Lawley started in his game, but unfortunately it looked like he sustained a hamstring injury, so Anthony Knockaert had to take into his place. Hopefully Lawley's injury is not that serious. In the second half, it was a little bit close actually. It was quite an open game. It was Nottingham Forest actually that took the lead, and I think potentially against the run of play as well. It was brilliant from James Garner, who found Sammy Amiobi in the right hand side. He won his one-on-one battle with Omar Riches, doing a fantastic cross, and it was going to find Glenn Murray, but it was Tom Holmes, I think, who managed to put the ball into zone 8. Puskas had a chance pretty much straight away from after that. Elise had an opportunity as well. Zhao had another opportunity. Forest themselves hit the post as well, which could have made it game over for Reading to try and get anything out of this game. But they took their opportunity well. They dug deep and they got something out of it. It was Lucas João that played in Yaku Mete. Paul from Samba just shot pretty much straight at him and it goes under him. But that made it 1-1. It is 4 games unbeaten now with Reading right now. It stopped their winning streak, but I think it's a bit of a shame for them. And for that Barnsley have won as well. Barnsley are now on the same amount of points as Reading right now. Got to be a little bit careful, Reading, right now. There's teams starting to catch up with them, and they've got a really tough running coming up, so they've got to be very, very careful. As do Nottingham Forest, I think a bit similar to Luton, Blackburn and Stoke. They've got to think about mid-table positions. I don't think they'll go down. It's 1 point closer to safety, let me tell you. And I think from pretty much from Forest upwards now are the teams that you won't expect to get relegated now. And Queen's Park Rangers are just proving to be one of the most inconsistent and unpredictable teams in the Championship as they lose 1-0 to a Huddersfield side who have managed to keep 2 clean sheets in a row now and now unbeaten in 3 games. And they were deserved winners. Huddersfield were absolutely brilliant and I think should have scored even more than just the 1 goal they did. O'Brien forced a great save out of Dieng. Dwayne Holmes forced a great save out of Dieng as well. I mean, if it wasn't for Dieng in goal, Huddersfield could have scored 2 or 3 goals. But it was 0-0 at half-time and it was practically all Huddersfield. Queen's Park Rangers' only big opportunity came from Elias Chair where he crossed the ball to Todd Kane. And Sheffield made a pretty unorthodox save and Todd Kane couldn't quite get the follow-up. It was pretty much the only gilt-edged chance in the whole entire game for Queen's Park Rangers, which was a poor display on their part, a really below par performance from what I'm used to seeing with them. But Huddersfield took a fantastic quality goal by Junior Bakuna, Pippa in the left-hand side, finding Bakuna with a first-time shot past Dieng, making it 1-0. It was a fantastic goal with great technique. And this follows for a very, very crucial win for Huddersfield. For the fact they're now at 18th place, they are now 9 points above Birmingham as well. So they've given them a pretty good gap from the teams really in threat of relegation. I do still think Huddersfield need a couple of wins to confirm their survival, but it's definitely a fantastic result in Huddersfield's season. Back to the penultimate game, Wycombe pick up their 6th win of the season with a 1-0 victory over Preston North End. And once again with Preston, just like Queen's Park Rangers, the most inconsistent and unpredictable team to predict. With Wycombe, they had 3 big chances with Ryan Tafazoli from corners. So Preston were warned that Tafazoli is a bit dangerous from corners. The first header that Tafazoli wins is just wide of the post. The second header Tafazoli wins, Iverson has to make a great save from. And then the third corner that Tafazoli wins a header from, they scored. I mean, you question the Preston defence. Did they ever learn that Tafazoli is a threat from corners? Tafazoli in that case was 3rd time lucky, eventually winning the header. I think it was Evans, the one who was marking him actually. He gets the header past the reach of Iverson. That made it 1-0 to Wycombe. And Wycombe probably could have scored a couple more goals as well. Iverson made a fantastic save from McCleary, I think, in the midfield. And Pease, who had an opportunity in that second half that he probably should have done a little bit better from trying to win a cross. Preston's chances, did they have any? I think Brad Potts had a chance that he hit the side netting. I think Anthony Gordon, to be fair, had the best chance. He couldn't quite beat Allsop at his near post. And for Wycombe's part, they'll be thinking it's the easiest win they had all season because they have very little threat from the opposition in Preston. This win for them puts them on 26 points. 2 points behind Sheffield Wednesday. Could they overtake Sheffield Wednesday? I don't think they're going to survive, following the fact that Birmingham are 9 points above them. As with Preston, very puzzling performance, very inconsistent performance, a performance they'd want to forget. And then Norwich continue their charge to the Premier League with a 2-1 away victory. For me, it was deserved in that game. Sheffield Wednesday, though, did take a short lead, and I did say if Sheffield Wednesday were to win this game, it would be a typical championship result. And for 66 minutes, people were content of Sheffield Wednesday getting something against Norwich there. It was from a Barry Bannon free kick. It gets cleared, and then there's a bit of a follow-up, and then Jordan Rhodes, who's just about onside, scores past Tim Krul to score against his former club, making it 1-0 Sheffield Wednesday. That would have been a huge 3 points for Sheffield Wednesday following that Wycombe won against Preston the day before. But Norwich, being typical Norwich, found a way to win, and it was 2 quality goals. First one from Pukki, absolutely brilliant build-up play in terms of that goal. A defence splitting pass, finding Pukki pretty much unmarked. And then for Carwell, it was brilliant from Buendia, that stopped a charge from Josh Windass. Then he managed to tee up a ball to find Cantwell, and a great quality goal in the top left corner, making it 2-1 to Norwich. And I think Norwich can now start dreaming of the Premier League. So I think Norwich will just be aiming to wrap up promotion as quickly as they can, so they can be on second gear for the rest of the season. As with Sheffield Wednesday, damaging defeat as well, improved performances, but a very damaging result. They need wins, they need points, and right now they're starting to be cut adrift a little bit alongside with Wycombe. I think it's going to be very difficult to keep Sheffield Wednesday up, if I'm going to be honest. But that sums up my reaction to the weekend's games of the Championship. This is now what the Championship table looks like after match day 36. So Norwich and Watford in the top 2. Norwich on 79 points. At this rate, Norwich will get over 100 points. Swansea, Brentford, Reading and Barnsley make up the top 6 once again. Then we've got Bournemouth, Cardiff, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Stoke and Bristol City making up the top half of the table. Queensborough Rangers, Blackburn, Preston, Luton and Nottingham Forest making up the top part of the bottom half of the table. Then you've got Huddersfield, Derby, Coventry and Birmingham, the teams still in danger of relegation. Then we've got Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe currently in the bottom 3. So before I go through my predictions for the midweek games, I'll go through my player of the weekend, result of the weekend and goal of the weekend. Player of the weekend for me was tough, but I have to give it to Casey Palmer because he was at the heartbeat of Bristol City's creativity. Could have scored a couple more goals himself. He scored 1, assisted 1. I'm going to give my player of the weekend to Casey Palmer. Result of the weekend, I've got to give it to Barnsley. Bournemouth 2, Barnsley 3. The best game I saw this weekend. Result of the weekend goes to Barnsley. And the goal of the weekend, bit tough as well. Could have given it a couple of teamwork goals, but I'm going to give it for the technique alone. Junior Bakuna's strike from just inside the box. So my goal of the weekend goes to Junior Bakuna. To end off this video, I'm going to predict what I think will happen in the midweek games. Fingers crossed I get quite a few of these scores right. So start with Cardiff and Stoke. Of course, Stoke right now is struggling with form. I'm going to say a 2-0 win to Cardiff. I think they'll bounce back. Derby and Brentford. This one took me quite a while to get my head round. I originally put 1-0 to Brentford, but I'm going to say 2-1. I know Derby have not scored in 4 games, but I said the same thing a couple of weeks back with Wycombe not scoring in 5, but now they've just broken that curse. Sometimes teams will get a goal, and I think Derby will get one in this game, so I'm going to say 2-1 Brentford. Luton Coventry is interesting. Of course, Coventry will feel energised for the fact they didn't play in the weekend. Maybe 1-1. I can't really edge a side there. Middlesbrough Preston. I think Middlesbrough will be quite comfortable. I'm going to say 2-0 Middlesbrough, actually. Rotherham and Watford. This is tough because we've not seen Rotherham for a good couple of weeks now. I'm going to say 2-1 Watford. Bournemouth and Swansea. This is really tough to predict. I think it's going to be 2-1, but to what side? I'm going to say 2-1 Swansea because they seem to be getting results right now. Forest and Norwich, I'm going to also say 2-1 to the away side. Queensborough Rangers and Millwall. I'm thinking 0-0, but I'm going to change my mind and say 1-1, but I hope it doesn't end 0-0. Wycombe and Barnsley, I'm going to say 2-0 to Barnsley. Actually, they might be quite comfortable in this game. Birmingham, Reading. I mean, who knows what Birmingham are going to perform like in midweek. Apparently, they want to have another manager in before the midweek. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see on that. They've got a couple of days to sort one out. I'm going to say 1-0 away to Reading. I think they still know deep down they've got to try and get some wins under their belt to keep in the pressure of the top 6. Blackburn, Bristol City, I'm going to say 3-2 Bristol City. Why not? I'm expecting a really dramatic game. And finally, Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield. Oh, I could see a 0-0 draw coming out of this being a Yorkshire derby. But I'm going to say 1-1 again. I'm going to have faith that we're going to have no 0-0 draws and we're going to get some goals. But that was all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you do give this video a like. Tremendously appreciate it. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It'd really, really make my day. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. All that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. If you saw the end of this video, and as always, take care everyone.